I'm just doing a very quick response video to Little Wars TV. They asked me in the comments if for my thoughts on their recent video, Is Wargaming Dying Out? So I thought I'd just very quickly put together this little video. If you haven't seen their original video, then watch it. I'll put the description in the I'll put the link, sorry, in the description below. Also, by the magic of YouTube, there should be a link appearing somewhere on the screen up here or here. It's a fantastic video, and they interview a lot of people across the board within wargaming and basically ask them the same question: Is historical wargaming dying out? There's some various responses to it, but my response really would be no. Is the answer, is a very short answer. I don't think historical wargaming is dying out. I've been a wargamer for about 30 years. When I started, I was about 12 or 13, and I used to go to the local wargaming show every year, Triples, here in Sheffield. And this is in the late 80s, early 90s. And then, as is now, the scene, the hobby was absolutely dominated by older, middle-aged men. Now, there's nothing wrong with that at all, but it was always, you know, they were the vast demographic that you could see in there, and that really hasn't changed. All that I think has changed is us younger ones who got into it when we were kids have just now grown up and replaced the older previous middle-aged man. I mean, I'm, you know, people say it's a greying hobby. I'm now grey. I'm now part of that demographic that I used to see when I was a kid, and I'm fairly certain the kids that you do see at shows and things are probably thinking of me the same as I thought of them, thinking, oh, you know, look at these old fellas, kind of thing. So I don't think it's dying out. I think it's retaining a certain amount of people, and it's on a level, but it has, I think it has also probably in the last few years, probably grown quite a bit as well with the invention of some of the games, the things like Bolt Action, the Flames of War. Those have really appealed to a lot of what I would term as Games Workshop wargamers, the ones who, you know, go into Games Workshop on the high street, get the one-stop shop, get everything they want in a box. And Bolt Action and Flames of War, just as two examples within the historical sector, a lot of the Warlord games as well, like Black Powder and things like that, they do that literally off the shelf. You can buy it, you've got a starter set, you can be playing that afternoon if you don't bother painting the figures or whatever. And I think that has really helped historical wargaming to come to the forefront, because the people who were playing Games Workshop, and a lot of people would go through the Games Workshop kind of route into wargaming, into historical wargaming, now have an easier way of getting into it by literally doing that, and it's a really good hook to get people in. What I've also noticed as well in the hobby, and this is something that I've talked about with my friends when we go to the shows that we go to in our area, and we try to visit quite a lot of shows over the year. Obviously, at the moment it's a bit difficult with COVID-19, but you know, whenever we are, even before I was making the show videos on this channel, I would always go to a show and write it up as a blog post. And we've noticed definitely in the last maybe 5 years or so, there is a massive increase in women who are at these shows, and these are not just women who've been dragged there by partners, you know, these are women who are actually playing games, who are involved with it, and that is fantastic to see, and that is something that has really taken off. Whether a lot of them are playing historical games or just wargaming in general is a bit different, but there certainly are a lot more women who are involved in the games and are playing them and are having an interest, which really changes the demographic from what it was, say, 30 years ago. As I say, you know, when I first went, it was definitely dominated by middle-aged men. It still is, and it's still a great hobby. And I think the reason for that is because as we get older, we have a lot more disposable income. We have time. A lot more people, when they're retired, they have a lot more time, and also people have, you know, generally an interest in history as well. So you kind of want to play it on the tabletop. And I've spoken to a lot of people who have got no idea about wargaming at all. You know, friends outside of the hobby. And when they know I wargamed, they've shown an interest, a little peak of interest. Just, oh, that sounds interesting. These are people about my age as well, so they're getting into that. They're past their teens, they're past their 20s and 30s, and they're just getting into being interested in doing a hobby or something. So, is it dying out? No. Is it growing? That's harder to say. I would say potentially there's a bit of growth in it just because of the vast amount of resources that you can get hold of now. We're talking, figures, paints, books, stuff on the internet. All the internet has really opened up wargaming and historical wargaming as well. So like Twitter, the forums, the Facebook groups, all these kind of things. Discord has a huge potential for historical wargamers to get involved, even sat at their table, their table miles away from other people. So there's that aspect of it is really opening us up. And having been on Twitter now for 2 years, I've met a lot of people, met in inverted commas, a lot of people on Twitter who are historical wargamers. There's a lot of support for each other on those platforms. And you can actually see new people coming in and asking questions and having informed responses from people who are in there, and they're getting a hook on it as well. And I've seen this happen a couple of times now. So I really think that there's not a massive explosion in historical wargaming, far from it, but I certainly think it's definitely healthy. It has a very healthy audience, and it's something that just keeps perpetuating itself as the older people move on or pass away or whatever. You've still got younger people, and I say this in inverted commas, younger, I mean, talking like middle-aged people who have got that time. The retirees have got the time, they've got the money to spend on the hobby to keep perpetuating it. So I don't think I'm particularly negative about it. I don't think there's any cause for concern about it at the moment. And I think it will just continue as it does, and I really don't think it's going to nosedive anytime soon. There's always going to be somebody new and young, like I was, like my friends were, to pick up the baton when in 30 or 40 years I'm no longer on the planet doing wargaming. Fingers crossed I will be. By that time they may have invented the whole head in a jar thing, and I'll probably still be pushing stuff around with my robot arms. But I think, joking aside, I think there's always going to be somebody interested in historical gaming. So that's my response. A bit of a ramble, a bit of some personal information in there, but I'd like to hear what other people think about this. Other people that subscribe to the channel. I mean, tell me in the comments. If you've got a channel yourself, do a video response to this. Tag me on Twitter, let me know on here that you've done it, and I'd like to see what you do. And I'm sure the guys from Little Wars TV would also be interested in hearing what other people have got to say about this. Let's start a debate. Let's start a conversation and get this out there. So as I say, short video, very rambly, but I hope it made a little bit of sense, and I look forward to hearing what other people have got to say. So thank you for listening to this. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button or dislike button if you didn't like it. Tell me why you didn't like it. All right, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.